So now let's get into some new material dealing with fractions. We last talked about improper fractions. So now that we understand what an improper fraction is, this was one of the improper fractions. And the reason it's an improper fraction is because the bottom number is smaller than the top number. And what does that mean? That means that the improper fraction is always going to be bigger than 1. Because in order for it to be a whole or one whole, it has to have the same number in the denominator and the numerator, and it doesn't. Okay, so there's another way that you can express this number, and it's with a mixed fraction, or a mixed number, as they call them, a mixed number. Mixed numbers are also, you'll see, bigger or greater. I'm going to use a different word, different vocabulary. Greater than 1. So how we do this, let me put 10/8. Okay, so we drew 10/8 like this. Definitely looking at the denominator. We're going to do a representation of a whole, which is going to be 8 over 8. Now, because it's greater than 1, we're going to need another whole. And we're going to give it 8 pieces or parts because it's supposed to be similar to this one. Now, if 10 is the shaded area, then all of this would be shaded because it's 8. 8 plus what number equals 10? So in this case, 8, 9, and 10. 2 more pieces of the entire part or whole part has to be shaded. So that's 8, 9, and 10. So now we have the representation. So that's like saying 1 and 2/8. Well, we want to get rid of we don't want to keep using these pictures. So how we do this is we go 10/8. Whenever you see that number is smaller, minus a whole, like this. Right now, just put, we haven't gotten to actually adding or subtracting these fractions. We haven't done it all the way. So just do like I tell you here. You should understand it here. You're going to take this number and take a whole from it. And 10 minus 8 is 2. And so now you have 2/8. So now, this is what you're going to do. You're going to say this one whole and 2/8 is the same as 10 over 8. All right, let's try this with another fraction, improper fraction. We're going to do 5 over 4. We know this is an improper fraction because the denominator is smaller than the numerator. So if we take 4 from that top number, because remember, one whole is 4 over 4, because you want all the pieces to the pie. This is equal to 1. So we're going to take 4 away from that. And that's going to be 1, because 5 minus 4 is 1. And then we're going to put the denominator back. So after a whole, this is what's left. So at the bottom, you can put 5 over 4 equals 1, because you took that away, and 1/4. Okay? Now, if this is kind of confusing, it's going to take practice. That's pretty much the thing that's going to get you where you want to be. There's nothing else I can tell you other than practicing it, okay? So now we're going to compare some mixed numbers and some proper and improper fractions. So for the first one, you have 1 2/3 and 4/6. So take a second, look at it, and decide which one is the greater fraction. So you need to remember the rule that if it's a proper fraction, this one is, because the 4 is less than the 6. That means it's less than 1. So you don't even have to really do a whole lot to this one, because mixed numbers are greater than 1. So save yourself the trouble and go ahead and put the little arrow so that it eats up the bigger number, okay? Remember that. That'll save you a lot of time. Now the next one. You have 1 1/8, and you're going to compare it to 3/2. And you have to decide which one is the greater fraction. Now you can do it the way that I showed you, but I'll also show you another way. So we know that the mixed number is greater than 1. Let's look at this one. The 3 is greater than the 2, so that means this number is greater than 1. So we can't do the same thing we did up here. So now you have to say, okay, what's the denominator? It's a 2. A whole would be 2/2. So we know that it's 1 and some kind of fraction. Now, if you didn't like the way that I did it before, when I said to take the 3 and take away this number that's down here, which is 2, and that will equal 1. And now just add the denominator back. That's how much is left once you've taken this whole away. If you don't like that, or that's really confusing, I'm going to show you another way. So you choose the way you want to use so you don't get confused. So with an improper fraction, you can also do this. You can do 3 divided by 2. 2 goes into 3 how many times? 2 times what equals, as close as you can get to 3? 1. So 2 times 1 equals 2. And you have 1 left over. So now this is your whole number. And then how you get your fraction is you take the remainder from doing division, and you keep the same denominator. So if you like doing the division way, that's fine. Just remember, this is division. But if you just like doing the subtraction, and you have to remember that this is a part of a whole, then that's fine, whichever one works best for you. Either way, we now have a mixed number and a mixed number that we can compare. So, which one would you rather have if you were getting pizza? 1 1/8 and you wanted the bigger part, or 1 1/2? Remember? Your answer is going to be in the denominator. The smaller number of the denominator, that means the bigger piece of pizza, pie, cookie, whatever it is. You have a bigger piece. Because you only have 2 pieces here, you'll get half of it. You have 8 pieces, you have a smaller piece. So we want the bigger piece. So we're going to go with the half. So the half belongs to this one, so that's going to be the greater one. You're going to put your arrow so that you eat up the bigger number. And that's how you do that. Next, we're going to work the opposite way. We're going to take a... Did I just do that? So we just took an improper fraction and we made it into a mixed number. So we're going to do one more. I'm going to go over to the other side of the board. We're going to work there. So let's see if we can take 13 over 4 and let's make it into a mixed number. So if we do the division, we're going to take 13 and divide it by 4. So we're going to start out with 1. Is there any number 4 times something that equals 1? There's not. 4 times 0 equals 0. You can put 0 there and subtract it. You get 1. Then you bring your next number down. And now you have the number 13. 4 times what number will get you as close as you want to get to 13? Is it 4 times 2? That's 8. 4 times 3 is 12. I think that's as close as we're going to get. So we're going to do 4 times 3. And that equals 12. We're going to subtract it. You have 1 left over. So we have no more numbers. That's it. So now what we're going to do is put the mixed number that is equal to this number. So how many holes do we have? We have 3 holes at the top. When I say holes, I mean like a hole, not a half, but a hole. Not a hole like you dig a hole, okay? And the fraction that's left over is going to be your remainder, 1, because it's not a hole. It would have been up here if it was. And the number that's in the denominator. So now you have made an improper fraction into a mixed number. And now you have to just get really good at that so that you can't be tripped up. Okay? All right, let's do one more just because I wanted you to get really good at doing this. Let's do 16 over 5. So we'll take 16, divide it by 5. So 5 times what number equals 1? Nothing. The closest we get is 5 times 0, which is 0. So we're going to subtract that. We have 1. Bring your next number down. 5 times what number gets you as close to 16 as you want? 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times 3 is 15. That's about as close as we'll get. So 5 times 3 is 15. We subtract it. And now 6 minus 5 is 1. And nothing here because that's 0. So now let's do the mixed number. The whole number is going to be 3. And the remainder, what's left over, that's not a part of any whole, is the remainder down here. And you put the 5 up under there. You have come up with a mixed number. Okay, now we're going to do the opposite thing. We're going to start with a mixed fraction and we're going to turn it into an improper fraction, okay? So how you do that is you take the denominator and times it by the whole number. So 6 times 1, that equals 6. And then the numerator, you're going to add it to the number. And that'll be 9. And you keep the denominator the same. Just like that. And so this, so you can see it after I did all that, I'm going to circle it. This mixed number equals this improper fraction. So it's not really hard, but you just have to put it into practice so that you can do it without blinking. So let's try one more. So I'm just going to go ahead and circle the number. We're taking the denominator, 5 times the whole number. 5 times 2 equals 10. And now we're going to add the numerator to it. That equals 12. And we'll keep the same denominator, which is 5. And there you have it. Mixed number to improper fraction. Have fun practicing those.